Welcome to liposuction class. Today we're going to remove the fat from a chicken, or more precisely, half a chicken, because it's virtually impossible to remove the fat from under the skin of a whole chicken without destroying the whole chicken. You can remove the fat from the cavity, but you can't really get under the skin unless you cut the chicken in half. And you can get excellent results roasting a chicken that's been split. This technique has two great advantages. First, it enables you to reduce the total fat and saturated fat of your chicken dramatically. Second, it creates the possibility of putting a whole world of flavors under the skin, so that when you eat the chicken without the skin, it's juicy and tasty. I always place the chicken on the cutting board so that the breast side faces my knife hand. And I start by very gently slipping my fingers underneath the skin. And there's connective tissue that holds the skin to the flesh. And if I need to, and I think I need to, I'm going to cut a little bit just to get a little bit of help from my knife. This is a boning knife. You don't have to use a boning knife. You can use any knife as long as it's sharp. But I like the boning knife because it's very thin and has a narrow tip, and I can get it into small spaces. Now you'll also notice I'm continuing to push the skin back. I want to be careful not to tear the skin because the skin keeps the juices in the chicken. And we all want juicy chicken. We do not want dry chicken. You'll also notice that I'm wearing my mad scientist gloves. And that's because when you get up close and personal with a chicken the way I'm doing, it's not only a messy business, but it's a slippery business. And I can grip the chicken more effectively with the gloves. So I'm going to swing the chicken around to show you this fat pad, which is the biggest one on the chicken. And it usually comes off pretty easily. Chickens, like the rest of us, carry a lot of their fat in their thighs. There's a lot under the skin, but there's a lot in their thighs. So I want to try to get that off. And I'm just pushing, I'm not really cutting. I'm going to swing it around again just so you can see this. And I'm lifting the fat pad and cutting just a tiny bit, being careful not to nick the skin. And I'm trying not to nick the meat either, because that will cause some of the juices to slip out too. If I have to, I will. These things happen, but I'm trying my best not to. Okay, so I got most of the fat off the biggest fat pad, and now I see there's another fat pad that runs down the breast, and I'm going after that. Now this whitish, yellowish fat is mostly saturated fat. And it's not true that it goes directly from your mouth to your arteries, but that's not a bad way to think about it. So I'm cutting a little bit and I'm scraping and I'm just trying to slip my knife under this fat pad so I can sort of get it going. Then I can grab onto it. And I see I've lost a little chicken fat on the side of my bowl. Put that back in. All right, and I want to take my knife now and start to push off this fat. Now you're not going to get every little piece, but even getting half of it is quite an accomplishment because the chicken does carry quite a bit of fat. This is a small chicken, so it doesn't have as much fat as a large chicken would, but it's worth making an effort anyway. All right, that's pretty good. Now I want to look around the thigh. Oh, I see that there's another, it's not exactly a fat pad, but there's fat attached to the underside of the skin. I want to turn it around so you can see this, and I'm going to slip my knife under that and pull it off. That was good. And there's a little bit more, but you know what? I don't want to destroy my chicken, and I don't want to risk piercing the flesh, so I'm going to leave that. And now I'm ready to look at side 2. And here it is, side 2 of the chicken. And it's pretty clean, doesn't have too much fat except where the neck used to be. And I'm going after this gigantic blob, not a very technical term, but it's quite descriptive. There's a big blob of fat right at the neck. And if this were a whole chicken, you probably would have been able to reach into the cavity and get that out. Now I want to cut a little bit here. Now this is really impressive because this is a small chicken And I've gotten about, well, better than 2 tablespoons of fat. That's 200 calories right there. And now you can see that my chicken is pretty lean. What am I going to do about flavoring the chicken? Well, tonight I'm going to take a tandoori marinade, which is just yogurt and Indian spices, and I'm going to rub it under the skin. I'm going to lift up the thigh, and I'm going to put it here and all over the breast, and then I'm going to turn it on the other side, and I'm going to put some on this side, and then, most important, I'm going to put the skin back where it belongs, because it's going to keep the juices in while my chicken is roasting. And to secure it, I'm going to take these trussing skewers that will hold it in place, because as the chicken cooks, the skin is going to have a tendency to shrink. And when it shrinks, it will pull back and expose the meat, which will dry out, and that will not be good to eat. So to keep the chicken juicy, I just want to move my knife out of my way here. Keep my chicken juicy, I want to put these skewers in. This one is being very stubborn. There we go. Okay, so that's how the chicken will look when I roast it, and it will be excellent. That's chicken liposuction.